Good morning, everybody. It is July 6th. I'll call the Wright County Board of Commissioners to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Oh, shoot.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Commissioner Wetter, that should have been the Star Spangled Banner that should have been playing.
I
I was ready to dance.
But now that you said that, I wonder if I turned mine off.
I just turned mine off.
No,
No,
I
there's
had
like
mine
no
off.
better perfect timing for that to happen, right?
Well, it was dancing.
Yeah, well, you should change it to Star Spangled Banner, and then we'll just call it right
Patriotic.
beginning of each
I'm
meeting.
sorry.
Alrighty, I trust everybody had an eventful 4th of July weekend.
Good, it was a good one.
All right, County Board meeting minutes of June 22nd.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from the 22nd.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Houston, second by Commissioner Vetch. Any further discussions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. Review and approval of the agenda. Does anybody have anything they want to add to the agenda?
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Vetch, second by Commissioner Houston. Any further discussions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. Consent agenda. Does anybody have anything they'd like to remove for further discussions?
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Ketchmark.
Yes, thank you. Under letter C, ag and drainage, and under D, attorney, just briefly, 1A and B.
And Mr. Chair, I'm gonna remove B1, the CIP finance, just about scheduling conflict.
Alrighty.
Sorry, which one? I missed
B1.
B1.
Anything else, anybody? Or if not, I will entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda with those three items removed for clarification or discussion.
I'll second.
Motion by Commissioner Ketchmark, second by
Take your pick.
Commissioner Wetter. Any further discussions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. All right, let's start with, we'll go down the letters. Item B.
Mr. Chair, this CIP Finance Committee is kind of an ongoing continuation and of a discussion that we've had over the investments and just the CIP in general. The date that they have selected on it, I am not able to attend. In most circumstances, I would go for an alternate, but because this is a continuation of multiple meetings and multiple information, before we bring forward a recommendation, I would like to see if we can reschedule that to Monday the 19th. That has been discussed with staff and that does work with them.
Yeah, I think that's fine with me.
I'll make a motion then, Mr. Chair, to reschedule the Finance CIP meeting for July 19th. And you had a time already, or?
I think, was it 9 or 10? Then 10 o'clock? All right. Monday the 19th at 10 a.m. I'll second that.
9 o'clock? Okay.
Or, I think she said
9 or
10.
10?
10?
10. Whatever.
Make up my mind.
Whatever they send me the invite for.
10 it is.
Alrighty. Motion by Commissioner Houston, second by Commissioner Vetch.
Yep.
Any other discussions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. Okay, item C, ag and drainage. Approval of payment application number 1 of $147,546.68 to Munell Trucking LLC for highway culvert repairs in County Ditch number 10.
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So just bringing some attention to this because a lot of attention's been brought to the project, and Matt is here. We had a meeting, kind of a debriefing after County Ditch 10 culvert at County Road 6 was completed, and this was mainly in-house staff, but there was other contractors on the call. But just so for the public and the board, so you're aware, there's some more culverts that this company is contracted to do, and we basically revoked the permit and reissued it with some different stipulations that I think will keep the company on task and on time, a better timeline, and I think it's going to be better service to the public and county staff that's also keeping track of the project. So that's why I thought good timing to bring that up, because this was the approval to make the final payment for that culvert replacement at County Road 6. And I've been involved in discussions with county staff, but the rest of the board maybe hasn't, and there's public that's keeping track of this also. So that's all I had to add.
And I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the payment application to Mndot Trucking as listed in the consent agenda.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Ketchmark, second by Commissioner Vetch. Any discussions? I have one. This is just for just the one culvert then, this million? Or,
$147,000.
excuse me,
Well,
147,000.
that got inflated a lot.
I read it wrong now.
Yeah, it's just for it's an itemized bid, so it's just for the current culvert, what they've completed. So there's 3 more that they're on contract with to complete on highway roads.
Now, do we have a retainage on any of these?
A retainer as far as?
Make sure everything got done correctly?
Yes, like a retainer in case they missed the deadline, you had to hire someone to complete the yes.
Or for making sure that everything settles like it's supposed to and,
Oh, yeah,
and the ditch is all?
yeah, 2-year insurance to fix any potholes sinking, that sort of thing.
Okay. All right, good, thank you.
Mr. Chair?
Commissioner Ketchmark?
As long as you're up here, could you just confirm that there was a timeout now for the other projects and when that's going to continue on those culverts there in August, I think?
Yeah, so the new, well, there's been a couple adjustments to their schedule, but the new schedule that we're working off of is August 22nd to come in and start on the next culvert, next of 3 culverts. That would take us in through September with our new guidelines as far as when the completion date would be in the permits. So I'm hoping we hold those as tight as they've listed in their schedule, about a week and a half for each culvert.
Is that going to be a problem for buses during school?
Yeah, I mean, that's, part of the discussion that we had is, they do have a completion date that they have to get these done by. I believe it's November 31st. So, within that reason, it's hard to say when they have to start and stop part of their contract. So.
All right, thank you. Any further discussions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. Item D, Commissioner Ketchmark.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning, County Attorney Lutz. The only reason I pulled this today was just to bring attention to recognize and acknowledge the detailed background and justification that you did for your request. And that's very helpful because these positions, they end up costing sometimes 6 figures a year or more, especially over time. That's a lot of money, and it's good to be able to see it in print on what the background justification is. So I thank you for your time and effort in doing that.
Mr. Chair and Commissioner Ketchmark, thank you for that. I tried to be transparent and explain the need for these positions in as much detail as I could.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's all I have.
And given a busy holiday Tuesday, I may not stick around for the whole meeting if it's really.
Yeah.
So,
I got one question. I wonder if we'll be able to use some of the ARP money for this legal administrative assistant with, some of the issues that maybe have occurred because of the virus and stuff. For what it's now unbudgeted and, for a year or something.
Yeah, thank
I
you,
could
Mr. Chair, I wanted
explain,
that too.
it really has, COVID really has changed how we do business. And I'll just give an example that, Commissioner Ketchmark could understand, especially for court trials. It's easy now for people, number one, to have court trials. And we've seen, because of some of the problems on our roadways, efforts for traffic enforcement have been ramped up, with State Patrol, especially zero tolerance for issuing warnings. And people appear via Zoom from their living room. So it's easy at their first appearance to say, hey, I want a court trial, because it's not an inconvenience for anyone to drive into court, take time off of work. So the number of court trials are up, and how we conduct the court trials are different. It used to be the deputy on a speed trial, you'd bring in your certification for your radar and your logs, and we would just offer them. Well, now, because everything is done remotely, we have to get that information from each officer, whatever the law enforcement agency is, e-file it with the courts, and then identify it as exhibit. So there's multiple steps on each case that we didn't have pre-COVID, because people would just show up. And that's just one example. But the same whenever we reach an agreement, and it's especially true in our misdemeanor, petty misdemeanor world, where people are pro se, my legal assistants have extra steps on every case that they didn't have before. And we're really strapped. I mean, I'm not exaggerating. It's part of it is our out-of-date system as well, which we're working to replace. But my legal assistants are running pretty thin right now. And I do think it is COVID-related, if there's some way we can use some of those funds for that purpose.
Yeah, I just was thinking about it. The first item, I really doubt we could do that one, but I don't know, it seemed like with the COVID issue that it seemed like we could this could fall into that category, under certain time frame.
We definitely
anyway.
did talk about that, so I think that that's valid.
Yeah, it's a consideration, I think so. Yeah.
So, if you could check into that,
Okay.
Lee?
Yeah, I believe position expenses are eligible. It's more the discussion of how you want to use the funds. So we can have more discussion on that, perhaps at this afternoon's committee of the whole.
Yeah. Okay,
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
thank you, Brian. I'll entertain a motion to accept this then.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to refer the positions to the next Personnel Committee meeting. That would be the full-time attorney for the Civil Division and the full-time legal administrative assistant.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Ketchmark, second by Commissioner Houston. Any further discussions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. 9:13, we're a little bit behind, Alicia. Alicia O'Hare, Wright County's Wright Soil and Water Conservation District. You want us to approve the South Fork Crow One Watershed One Plan Memorandum of Agreement.
Yes, Mr. Chair, good morning. So this memorandum of agreement is in place for the planning of a One Watershed, One Plan for the South Fork. The reason we want to sign this is it's to help our application. The South Fork Crow River applied for a planning grant, which we will find out in August. If we have if every entity signs a memorandum of agreement, it bumps the application a little bit. So we're asking that the board sign this with the partners. And it has been, Greg Kreiser did go over this memorandum of agreement and give us the go-ahead.
Okay, does anybody have any other questions regarding this at all?
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the South Fork Crow One Watershed, One Plan Memorandum of Agreement.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Betts, second by Commissioner Wetter. Is there any further discussion? I have one. Who are the other members?
So they're the counties of McLeod, Renville, Meeker, Candy, Ojai, and Wright. Then the soil and waters for those same counties. The city of Winstead has opted in to join the policy committee, and the Buffalo Creek Watershed District.
Sounds like a pretty good-sized group.
It's a pretty good sized watershed.
It is. It's another big one like the North Fork.
Not quite as big as North Fork, though, is it?
No. The North Fork had 15 partners total. So this looks like 12?
Oh, that'll be so much easier. All right,
Okay. Hey,
we have a motion and a second. Any further discussions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. Thank you, Alicia.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board.
Yep, thanks, Alicia.
Good morning, Mr. Hawkins, Highway Department. You got a couple items for us, huh?
Yes. Good morning, Mr. Chair and Board of Commissioners. There are two items for your consideration today. The first one is approved Mndot Detour agreement for using our Highway 6 for a Mndot project with Trunk Highway 24 in Annandale. They got a TED grant that we supported, and the agreement and resolution is attached. They would have this detour on for about 42 days, and we'd get reimbursed $3,305.
And for how many days?
42 days is what
42
they're,
days.
it's an estimate, and it'll be based on the actual days that it's,
Yeah, and weather dependent too.
right.
All right,
Yeah, I'll make a motion, Mr. Chair, to approve the Mndot detour agreement for Trunk Highway, to use County State Aid Highway 6, the detour route for Trunk Highway 24.
I'll second that.
motion by Commissioner Hewsom, second by Commissioner Batch. Any other discussions?
Nice.
Hearing none, all those,
No resolution.
yeah. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. Why do I have a resolution?
There is a resolution
That's what
also.
it, oh, so there's two things there? Okay. So, resolution, do I,
We need a second motion on
I suppose we'll have to.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the resolution for the detour.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Vetch, second by Commissioner Hewsom. Any further discussions regarding the resolution? Hearing none, Commissioner Ketchmark.
Aye.
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 Resolution carries unanimous.
Okay, thank you.
Good spot for a roundabout.
Yes.
That depends on who you ask. Yeah, some people over in Otsego especially, they say, there is never a good spot.
That's right.
Well, with the school there, it's a good spot.
So the second item today is to set a Transportation Committee meeting of the whole. There's several items we'd like to meet with you on. Number one, preview the local option sales tax program open house information. And number two, there's some updates and revisions to the 5-year plan. Update on Mndot's Highway 25 corridor study between Buffalo and Monticello.
Is that done?
It is not done. It's just kind of getting started. It's maybe a third of the way in. And
Okay.
there's a lot more yet to go, but within that, there's some housing developments that we need to talk about and provide an update on in Buffalo. It's going to affect access. Number 4 is update the board on Monarch Conservation Candidate Agreement with assurances. Monarch butterfly is potentially on the list for endangered species, but it's not yet. But there's some things that we should talk about, how it might affect us. And then, is there any other things the board has that they'd like to talk about at this meeting? And then we'd like to just set a meeting date.
I was just curious if we're getting an update on what things are looking like with the new government center and all the traffic patterns in and out of there as we're getting closer to. What's the timeline and any kind of changes with that?
As far as access to 25 or what?
25, all of the, any kind of upgrades that we're potentially looking at from down the road on it? Just because I've had some people ask, I know we've had some meetings about it, and I don't know that we've ever really solidified a timeline on anything on it.
Right, and when we did our long-range transportation plan a couple of years ago, we did look at a small area study just for that, when the buildings would be operational, and there's really no recommended improvements. There maybe stagger some stop times for people at the government center to help reduce the flow. There are the planned roundabout projects to replace the signal there at Highway 83 and 25. That would be in 2023. But otherwise, we
So,
just had
and
talked
that's
about.
part of the revised five-year plan then, I'm assuming?
Right.
Yeah, okay, because that's where I was wondering, because I know we said about it, but I don't know where we didn't determine where the funding was coming from that and stuff, so that must be part of the revised five-year plan then.
It is, that's part of it, to move that up a year. And then originally, we talked about maybe a direct access out to 25 from the back of, and that's tied in with the update on the Highway 25 corridor study, because with this new development in Buffalo, it's a housing development, it would essentially provide that connection
I
out
was
to
gonna say,
25.
if we're gonna do those roundabouts, it's gonna make a really big mess over there. It would almost really be necessary to have a second.
And right now, the traffic study that was done a couple of years ago showed that 113 is adequate to provide that secondary access, but then with this new housing development, there's going to be another place for access to 25, so
Okay.
that's part of the update we want.
Okay.
So, anybody have any, they've, have a number of suggested dates?
Yeah, I mean, you're meeting on the 19th in the morning, but
Yeah,
I would prefer the week of the 26th because the 19th I'm going to be having surgery and I don't know how it's going to affect me.
And then we've got the Wright County Fair, the
You've got the
21st,
fair,
22nd,
so-
23rd.
Monday the
So I would
26th.
prefer the week of the 26th.
So Monday, the 26th, does anybody have any issues with that date?
do that or after the board meeting or on the 27th.
Either one?
Yeah, we could do that.
Yeah.
In the afternoon, we've got nothing else scheduled at this point.
And we may end up with committee on the 28th, probably for
Possible.
technology, whatever.
Well, yeah, we will have it on technology on 20th. So, on the 27th then, do we want to do it at 1 o'clock or would you prefer to do it right after the board meeting at about?
10:30, 11.
Yeah,
Set it for-
Right after the board.
Pardon?
Right after the board meeting sounds good to me.
So 11 o'clock, chances are, this is going to be, what, an hour and a half meeting?
I would guess about that. Would it be better to hold it here, since it's right after the board meeting, or do you want to come out to Highway?
Might as well be here, since we're here already.
Yeah,
We
if
can
we
meet-
could do
we
it,
can meet.
we could always set it for 10:30 and then if it,
Sure.
we get
Yeah.
done early, then we can,
Okay,
not to delay you, but,
so I'll look for a motion for setting the meeting on July 27th at 10:30.
I will make that motion, Mr. Chair.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Houston, second by Commissioner Betch. Any further discussions? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Virgil.
Virgil?
Items for consideration. Mr. Kelly.
Yes, thank you, sir. As you know, workshop is coming up on the 13th. Wanted to poll the board of any additional items. Certainly, our first item is always scheduled meetings as needed. However, we do think it would be a good time to give an update on the dental clinic project and just kind of have some discussions as part of that. And planning, we'll talk a little bit about several things, but also specifically the lease rates that we'll be planning for the building. I think it'd be good to have some discussion around how that may impact other entities that the county interacts with too. So if there's other items you would like to add onto the agenda, I would solicit those now.
Mr. Chair, Administrator Kelly, are we going to have anything about budget at this, or, kind of what's going to be moving forward, or?
Sure.
Mr. Chair, because that was with the CIP Finance, we were kind of working out on some of the information that come out of that. The thought was to do it the workshop in August, right before we go into budgets, because
Okay.
we'll have some of those things still vetted out. We're still working through the large influx of CIP request stuff. It kind of ballooned it out exponentially large. So until we can kind of sort out that, it has a large impact on what the budget looks like.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, we can certainly provide an update. The budget books are due back on the 9th, so we'll have some more concrete information as far as the individual department budgets. So we won't have a ton of time to have that compiled by the 13th, but we can give an update as we know it at that point.
Right, yeah, you wouldn't have to be, but just to have kind of an overview would be nice, I think,
Okay.
without
Does anybody else have anything they'd like to add for next Tuesday? It seems like one item. So we'll find out exactly where the project is currently.
Correct. That's the plan, to give an update of the process. We have to go through the application in order to get the funds, also some of the, where we're at with the process of the design work, so. It's a lot of moving parts right now, so.
Let's see, I suppose we'll be talking about the ARP funding this afternoon and finding that if she's had any luck finding that unicorn. That mythical creature that's going to help us make sure that we leverage some of the other funds that are going to be available.
Yep.
Mr. Chair, Administrator Kelly, it doesn't hurt to add that in case there's, you know,
I was gonna say,
something that
let's
kind of-
add that.
Okay, we will add an update on ARP.
It is, it's ongoing, so.
Yeah. Let's see, and then you guys are going to be meeting on the Ways and Means Committee, and that was regarding,
Up two things.
I forget now,
one
right?
of them was
One
all
was
the
it
equipment.
Welker Building?
Oh, yeah.
Correct.
The Welker
Welker
School
Schoolhouse.
and the other
Oh,
one.
at the
At the
fairgrounds,
county fair.
to find out who
Yep.
owns that and stuff.
Yep. And the other item
We
was
own
the,
it. We own it, we just have to figure out how to pay for it.
Oh, so we do, okay.
And then there was the other one was,
is the disposition of equipment
Yeah.
oh, yeah.
of this facility and others.
Regarding owning that building out there, can we look at, maybe we need to do more of in-depth, you know, what buildings does the county actually own out there? Do we own all of them?
No.
Or do we own just the one? Maybe we need to
Fair-
get
The fair owns the other ones, I believe.
So we had a discussion, I'll call it probably 5-6 years ago, about that property, and it updated the lease at that time. Might be good to look at it again. I mean, the county does own the property. It gets messy as the improvements are made on the facilities that are done by the Fair Board and others out there. So we could look at it again.
And I was out there, took a swing by there. We went for a ride yesterday. And there's two little cabins there that the roofs are just as bad, so.
Yep.
But they're talking maybe the wood shingles on those,
Cedar Shakes.
yeah. So, I don't know.
Yeah,
but-
we could, we do have that lease agreement that I think $1 they rent it for or something.
Yeah. Attorney Kreiser probably could fill us
Yeah,
in on that.
he knows more about that than I.
Did you say he should know more about that? Or he does know more about that?
He would know more.
He would know more.
Mr. Chair and Commissioner Wetter.
Yeah, because I had that talk with him.
And I'm wondering if Brian actually is listening. He drafted the last
Brian
lease
did
agreement
draft
with
it,
the
yes.
Fair Board, and I need to connect with him before our meeting on the next Wednesday, though.
Will you be there
Yeah,
at this
I'll be
meeting?
there. Yeah, I
Okay,
need to
thank
connect with
you.
Brian yet. I haven't done
Thank
that yet. So, but he is here. I don't know if he's probably listening now.
He woke up?
Well, he hasn't spoken up or raised his hand, so I don't know.
Probably a very wise move on his part.
He's digging very fast for the contract.
Yes, sir.
Because I think the last time we talked about the schoolhouse, the attorney's office was gonna come up with a memo of understanding on ownership, and will that be probably done maybe by next Tuesday, or we'll have something to work with? Okay.
Hi, Brian.
Good morning. I'm just looking for the lease. I'm not sure if I have it saved electronically or if it's in our old paper file, but I know it's been renewed within the last few years, I think. So I should have a copy of it. I'll hunt it down and get it to Greg.
All right. Thank you, Brian. The other thing I was thinking about, will we have maybe a status report on the compost facility, on some of the
Sure.
engineering that they looked at? I don't know where they're at with it, but maybe just a little status
Okay.
report on that.
All right.
See if we're gonna move forward if we get the structural engineer reports, look at the civil.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll touch base with Alan.
Yeah.
But I know we did approve them, so maybe they have something and we can get that, continue that discussion going anyway.
We might end up with a long workshop.
Yeah, it's gonna be a long one now.
Now, does anybody else,
Solicit long enough.
pardon?
If you solicit things long enough.
Well, it should go a little faster because Commissioner Vetch won't be there.
Yep. I won't ask all those, questions.
You're not gonna be there.
No.
Okay, so anybody else have anything else to add? Right, you got the ideas and stuff?
I think I've got it.
Okay. And if somebody else has anything, just contact Lee regarding it if something comes up today. At the leadership meeting, for questions or something. Alrighty, okay. Commissioner Vetch, Technology Committee minutes of June 23rd.
All right, so was that last Wednesday? No. Two
Wednesdays.
Two Wednesdays ago, yeah, it was
Yeah,
a while
we
ago.
weren't around last week.
That's right. So on June 23rd, we had the IT committee meeting. A lot of the same faces, won't read all the names. Project update on a lot of projects. IT is spinning a lot of plates at this time. The camera project is moving forward. They're actively moving data into the Tyler system. It's moving slowly, but going forward nonetheless. Discussion on the handful of different scheduling softwares that we're working here at the county. So we have the event scheduler for administration. We have the QFlow for HHS. We have Qmatic for the license center at the new government center. And then they have another program, Qmatic, that they're currently using, are looking to switch to. But I guess Commissioner Dahlheim will affirm this, that there is no one size fits all. So we have to kind of operate with multiple different scheduling systems.
Unfortunately.
Unfortunately, yeah.
That is too bad.
Yeah. Then we're also, the ERP is still kind of in its influx transition at this time as we're working through contracts to work with a new implementer. The web redesign project is moving forward. They spoke with Civics Plus, the website vendor, and the county is on the calendar to begin the redesign process in August. From the, right now, the ECM, Enterprise Content Management, is working on policy management with HHS and the HHS Collection Manager digitization, along with a variety of other things. New projects, this was a big discussion because we had a lot of new projects, some of them inside CIP, some of them outside CIP. There is the new emergency notification system from Everbridge to Rave. Then there's also the records key management system. There's the court services limited Zoom utilization. There's the voice to text message that, our voicemail, that our voice to text was discussed from planning and zoning for minutes, which was deemed
Not there yet.
not there. Technology isn't there yet for utilization. Then there's also some discussions from some other pieces of software that were more internal. Then there was the CIP. We had a discussion about the projects that are out there and the need to finesse the needs with the funds available and the staff available to implement. So we have to have some more discussions of, yes, we'd like to have all these things done, but is there enough capacity in terms of staff time and enough money there to afford all of these things at one time? So more discussions to come on that. Then we also had the discussion on the PPM, the Project Portfolio Management Solution, which is this new solution is a cloud-based endeavor, which will also give us better information, as it will hopefully have some integration with the ERP to give us more quantitative data in terms of financial and more quantitative data in terms of staff time on projects. I guess the only recommendation we had in there was IT has the capacity for the above-mentioned projects to proceed, with the exception of the board meeting minutes to voice text.
For planning and
For
zoning.
planning and zoning. Otherwise, the rest of them were recommended to move forward. With that, Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes and the recommendation from the June 23rd IT meeting.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Betts, second by Commissioner Ketchmark. Any discussions?
Yeah, just, Everbright wasn't around for very long.
That's what I was like.
It was like 3 years, I think. it
I was very
seems.
disappointed with that.
And we had, moved from, I'm trying to remember, was it Code Red before that? But,
Was, yeah.
yeah, and so,
But I guess they're having issues with Everbright.
it's too bad.
It is. One thing that, and I don't remember if it was discussed, but one of the things that we did talk about, I don't remember if it was in the minutes, was regarding getting a handle on current softwares that are out there that the county currently owns. And when we put in, implement new software, what goes away? Or do we currently have a solution for something that we don't need to go out and purchase new software? And I think that was going to be one of his asks for budget, is somebody to be able to handle that sort of stuff, if I remember correctly.
Analyze all that.
To keep track of it, and, I mean, we do not have a very good handle on what software out there. We do not have a very good handle on the software that's out there that is phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, or, it hasn't been upgraded, but different departments are using it, so
Yep.
letting you know that that's something that I find extremely important. I hate that we have all the software and we have no idea where it's at, who's using it, or if it's even using it. When we did it, I had Connie May do something and pull everything together. We found software that we've been paying for that nobody's been using. I think there was 3 of them. And we found software that only 1 or 2 people were using. And we found multiple different levels of software. So I like, phase 2 better than phase 3, so I'm just sticking with phase 2. So.
And we did discuss it briefly in there, and it's in the minutes.
No,
They're just
I
weighing
couldn't
out some
remember.
different options
Yep.
out there, and they're just haven't quite.
Remember when we started, there was a lot of software
Director Fomby.
that
will
had
give us
never
some
been installed.
information.
Yep, which is why we went to
Like
the
140
IT
different,
CIP system,
Yep.
just because
Yep.
people were buying software and it was
But
sitting on
never,
the shelf.
yeah, never got installed.
Right now, we have a conversation scheduled this week. We're going to hire a contractor to come in and do an independent assessment. And it's difficult to determine what we need to sort of corral the problem until we kind of know how big the problem is. So I'm going to give them about a month and a half to produce a report that says this is what we have out there. And then based on that information, we'll know if we need to hire somebody and what level we need to hire somebody, in order to just sort of mitigate the long-term consequences. So I'm hoping in about a month and a half to have at least an answer of what we have, and then we can determine where to go from there. So that's scheduled for this week.
So they'll be able to do a deep dive on
That's
what's
exactly
out
what
there?
yes.
Will they also be able to tell us what that software is capable of doing?
Yes, sir. What I'm looking for is what the software is, what the version is, and what it does. And there are some cases where we might have, for example, a piece of software that relies on, so you might need to have Adobe Acrobat Reader version X.2, where version X.3 might be needed. So sometimes you have to have piecemeal. It's an unnecessary requirement, but then at least we have the topography. And once we have the topography, I mean, we could hire somebody that could run this off an Excel spreadsheet. We might need a very large tool to manage it, but until I kind of know what the topography is, I don't know what kind of lawnmower to buy. So, but we should have an answer hopefully in a month and a half. That meeting with the contracting company to get a business analyst is scheduled for this week.
So we don't know if we need a bad boy lawnmower or
Exactly.
a Craftsman, okay.
Or we could just get one of those lawn Roombas and just let it run.
Oh, okay. All right.
All right.
Thank you. All right.
We had a motion and a second
Oh, yes.
on the minutes? I don't think
We
we
had a
voted
motion
on it,
by
did we?
Commissioner
Didn't vote on it, no.
I think so.
We had a motion by Commissioner Wright. Who did the second?
I did.
Yeah.
Commissioner Ketchmark.
That's
Sorry.
right.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. Advisory Committee, Advisory Board updates. Let's start with Mr. Kelly.
All right, thank you, sir.
Bless you.
Of course, right now, we're going into budget, so that's been a lot of prep work. As I mentioned earlier, the budget books are due on the 9th, so departments are working on that, as well as the finance group here as the central preparing for that and the upcoming budget sessions. With the holidays, of course, we had some things slow down a little bit, but we'll be meeting this afternoon on ARP, so a lot of work has taken place getting that process moved forward as far as the plans and vetting that and working out and documenting the process for that. Additionally, some additional items have come forward from a few other departments that I think will be good to talk about this afternoon, as well as the firms you alluded to earlier about assisting us with finding the funds and potential additional funds we could leverage. So, as I mentioned, dental clinic moving forward. We'll talk about that next Tuesday, but a lot of decisions to be made at that piece. I think that's pretty much from my standpoint. It's been a little quieter with the holidays over the last couple days. So,
Commissioner Wetter.
Okay, June 24th, the extension met virtually to okay a horticulture extension educator that we would share between Wright, Meeker, and McLeod. And we talked about the contract prices having gone down, and we proposed a 0.75 FTE with benefits, which would cost each county about $5,400. We haven't actually gone forward if that's going to be approved with all the counties yet or not, but that's something to look forward to. Do you have anything to add to that, Mark?
No, just that pretty much everybody agreed that it'd be nice to have. Their biggest concern was that they wouldn't lose what they currently have. But the idea would be that these people would be able to focus on their expertise.
Right.
Whether it's crops or farms or animals or the crops or the actual horticulture, which the Master Gardening Program, especially in Wright County, has really stepped up a lot.
Just gardening, period.
Yeah.
And trees, I think.
Yeah. So I think our current person is a crop expert ends up answering mostly horticulture.
Adam Osting is,
For most of the summer. You know, so he's kind of not able to do what he was hired to do because he's kind of doing everything.
Right.
Along with animals and stuff too. So.
And then June 24th, I had a water management task force meeting, and that was by Zoom. We talked about the North Fork Crow River, of course, and implementation update. Talked about 5 to 6 projects, which were basins and stabilization got approved. Regional priorities, they're using lake ranking, and they're focusing on those lakes that are tipping or maybe tipping soon, and so you would look and rank those according to which ones the money would go to for treatments. Then we're still waiting for the Mississippi St. Cloud, One Watershed, One Plan, and the South Fork Crow River, One Watershed, One Plan on those applications as Alicia just previously talked about. 12-mile 319 grant, we're expecting that in the fall, which would be $250,000, which they could use for 4 years. And that would be like Ditch 10, Howard Lake, that area, Lake Emma. Also, the American Rescue Plan funding, talked a little bit about that, and what they're mainly looking at is to pursue the control of carp in some of the lakes. And NRCS, which is the federal version of the Soil and Water Conservation District, they're gonna have local work groups in July, and hopefully I can attend one. I haven't heard yet when that might be, so waiting for that. And that concludes my report.
Commissioner Batch?
So on the 24th, Central Mississippi Regional Planning Partnership met. At that meeting, we formally adopted our Framework 2030 plan and formally adopted the plan to go forward with hiring a contract worker for the next 12 to 18 months to help us solidify our action plan. We are receiving our deliverables within the next 30 days from Planning Next. One of those deliverables is a presentation of our action plans that hopefully either August or September workshop, make that presentation to the board here to kind of show you what we learned and where we're going and what the actions are over the next years going forward with this group and things that we'd like to achieve. So that's more to come on that. We're also adopted the plan to go forward with a branding of the organization since it never had a branding as it transitioned from the Highway 25 Coalition to the Central Mississippi Regional Planning Partnership. And that's all I have for last week.
And, gee, thanks for that segue into, I met on the 30th regarding that branding, and we did hire somebody local. So, and they're going to come up with all the different brandings for the PowerPoint presentations, the letterheads and brochures and all that sort of stuff. So, looking forward to dealing with that. One thing I wanted to do on the July 1st, AMC had a Zoom meeting, and I had signed up for it, but unfortunately it was regarding, legislators passed the budget and everything on the 30th, and then they were going to provide us with information. And unfortunately, I ended up having to take my wife to a doctor appointment. But now she's able to drive, so I don't have to do that anymore. So, did anybody else have an opportunity to look at that?
No, I didn't.
So, I'm sure that there'll be a follow-up paper coming out from AMC regarding what was discussed on that.
And often they record those, so.
Yeah, so anyway, that'll just let us know what benefits the county will be receiving from the budgets that got approved by the state legislators. And I believe one of those things I remember was some additional funding for broadband. So I look forward to be able to decipher all that sort of info. Commissioner Houston.
Well, actually the 22nd, Matt Detchen and I went to Buffalo Township, and we've had a couple of meetings with them on County Ditch 17 doing redetermination of benefits, and did agree to move forward with that. So next step is to select the viewer, and then it will come before the board for it to move officially forward to set up public meetings and that kind of thing. And I also had a State Community Health Services Advisory Committee, SHAC, and that's a good meeting. There's a lot of information. We basically, we're talking about, the transformation of the public health system, and the 3 simple rules of the state-local public health partnership is seek first to understand, make expectation explicit, think about the part and the whole. And there's, a lot, really, the role of public health, essentially, is to diagnose problems and use data to make find solutions. But we talked a little bit about the work groups that had a little bit of a, got kind of put on hold last year. But the work groups are working with counties in children of incarcerated parents, and really they're kind of an invisible population, and it's a great opportunity for public health. They're working our MDH is working with 5 county jails, but they only met once in 2020. But the federal government is really happy with what SHAC is doing with this, and the county sheriff's association is also supportive. They're also working with environmental health, infectious disease, continuous improvement board, public health, emergency preparedness. And Commissioner Malcolm talked about the increase of the public health grant. So it's a $7 million increase, which is 30% higher, and also $500,000 for tribal health, which is also 30% increase. But just really working on how to strengthen public health, doing pilot projects and that kind of thing. Some other information, social vulnerability is in general kind of focused at the community level, and they talked about the different indexes and what the provides or makes people more vulnerable, and essentially their socioeconomic status, their house composition and disability, minority status, language, housing type, and transportation. So lots of things are working on.
Mr. Ketchmark.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Well, last week we did have a safety committee meeting scheduled, but it was canceled. Fair board met. They're getting everything, and at the end, they got everything worked out for the fair coming up.
And the fair is when?
21st to the 25th.
Supposed to, be advertising that here at the board meetings. That's what Charlie always did, he always made sure that everybody knew when the dates were.
And there are booklets on the counter out there.
Yes, and I have more if you
Okay.
want books. We're handing out a lot of books all over the county.
Yeah, we even got one in the mail, or in one of a local magazine. Or local, yeah.
And that changed this year, and some citizens noticed it, that there's only a couple routes to deliver the drummer with that fair book. So a lot of people that normally got it didn't get it.
We didn't get it.
So they got pallets of these books, so members have been picking them up and dropping them off at businesses, and I have some more if you have some businesses. But like I brought up before, the east part of the county, when I worked over there, they didn't know where Howard Lake was, much less where the county fair was, a lot of them. Because they work, they commute to the city, they do their business there, and there's just been no other reason throughout the year to go there. So I've been personally handing them out in Hennepin County, Meeker, McLeod, Carver, because a lot of the people around here already know about it, but their interest is to draw people that don't know about it.
Do we have any at the city halls, like in St. Michael and Albertville and Otsego?
Well, we have board members from all over the county, and I haven't been up there, but good places to bring them are banks, post offices, liquor stores, hardware stores, places that people don't run in quick and...
Liquor stores?
They're good, yeah. Yeah, I guess,
Bars.
because we tried a couple of them, and they said, oh, thanks, we had a bunch, and they're all gone. So they are,
Cool.
yeah.
So I just want to know, I'm not the only one who goes to a liquor store.
No,
Greg, we had never said anything about your issues with liquor stores.
we had a planning and zoning meeting last week, and 4 hours later at 11:30, we were done. Some things resolved, some weren't, but it was back to evening meetings, so that was started 7:30, went till 11:30.
How many did you have on the docket?
I think there was 8, and one was planned to be removed and rescheduled, but the rest, they all had something, to discuss and decide, and there's a renewed interest in what I call the shot clock for these meetings.
Which,
I'd like to have that on record, and maybe for further discussion, maybe building committee,
well,
whoever.
I'm thinking that we could add that next Wednesday, or next Tuesday.
Okay.
Just as, and I don't think it'll take long at all to make the decision, but,
Right.
Technology needs for the boardroom,
And that item has been purchased and basically in a closet for a year or so, and it made a brief appearance a month ago, and then went back in the closet. But we should have something for this building and then plan whether it's to move this clock to the new one when we get over there, but we've got 6 months of meetings left here.
But Attorney Kreiser has suggested that we actually have two of them out at the new building. One in the back of the room so the board can see it, and one behind the board so that the people can see it, or the speaker.
Well, when you're averaging, like I say, I think if we took a poll for the year, I think we've averaged over 3 hours on all of our planning commission meetings.
Oh, yeah.
Average probably even higher than that, but. Mr. Chair, one more item I forgot that I wanted to bring before the board. So the transportation bill was signed by the governor, and in that bill, there is funding for the opening of all DVS services across the state.
The other thing, that's right, yep.
But at this time, I would like to see if the board would be interested. I'd like to send an a letter from the board as a whole, asking them to consider additional funding for our area for testing services, and asking them to meet with us to discuss participation in a more formal act in terms of our new government center. We don't have any kind of signed agreement with them or anything, so I'd like to begin that conversation. So working with Flaherty and Hood, we want to draft a letter from the board's behalf to get that solidified.
That's right, and also, wasn't it part of that transportation, didn't they give us some money for the addition or the improvement between Albertville and Monticello?
Yeah, I think that was in there, yeah.
And there was also some money set aside from the Fed too, I believe, for transportation.
I think you're right.
So, and again, that's would have been nice to know about
So
that meeting.
if we could like kind of like consensus in that letter, what I would do is I'll have I'll get working on drafting that letter up, and then I'll have admin send it out just so you guys can read it before we would submit it in. Then submit your comments if you want anything changed in terms of the language.
Okay.
Because I'll probably get it submitted out long before we have a board meeting, which is like what, the 20th?
Yeah, I think it'd be good to have discussion with Department of Public Safety.
Yep. So.
Mr. Chair? We must be one of the rare places that have set aside in a brand-new building some square footage for this, right? I mean, I don't know what the amount is, but isn't there an area out there that is set up for that?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of counties that have space in theirs, whether it's Sherburne County or Anoka County, but we put a new space that we've kind of been just verbally agreed up until this point, but we're now to the point where we need more than just a verbal agreement on it.
Right.
Well, Sherburne County, they do the testing right out of the county.
What?
So Sherburne County has done testing right out of the county
Yeah.
building.
Yeah, which was our intent,
That's
we
our,
used to have here.
that's been our intent, that's what we wanted.
Yep, but it was in this building. Oh, just a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Yep. Not that long ago. No, it's probably been
Maybe.
like 7 years. It's probably been longer than that, maybe 8. I don't
I
know.
don't know.
I know it was in this building when I got my license, which was a couple of years ago. Alrighty, were you all finished?
Yes.
I think we kind of got
Down
cut
to
off.
Plymouth.
Anybody else have anything? If not, we have a leadership meeting at 10:30, and that is by Zoom, if I remember correctly.
Teams, correct, yes.
Is it by Zoom?
No, Teams.
I mean, Teams.
Yep, and that was
Remote.
sent out, right?
Yep.
All right, nothing before the board. We are adjourned at, well, it's at 9:58. Should we kill 2 minutes? We're adjourned at 9:58.